China decides on controversial change in the electoral law for Hong Kong. Sharp criticism comes from the former colonial power Great Britain. Beijing continues to restrict democracy in Hong Kong's autonomous territory. Only selected patriots should still be allowed to hold offices there. Beijing, from China, has tightened control over Hong Kong. At the end of its annual meeting, the People's Congress approved a change in the electoral system in Beijing on Thursday, which will further curtail the already limited democracy in the Chinese Special Administrative Region. The nearly 3,000 delegates in the Great Hall of the People also adopted the new 5-year plan with which China wants to make itself technologically and economically more independent from the rest of the world. The government wants to boost domestic demand and increase investment in research and development, they say. This is intended to reduce dependence on foreign countries. According to Prime Minister Li Keqiang, China has a lot of catching up to do and wants to promote innovation. The strategy is also a response to the disruption of supply chains caused by US sanctions against China's technology corporations and the global recession caused by the corona pandemic. The People's Congress adopted the electoral reform for Hong Kong almost unanimously. Critics see another blow to the liberal system of the former British Crown colony. The action was met with outrage in Hong Kong and abroad, especially among the former colonial power Great Britain. This is Beijing's latest move to hollow out space for democratic debates in Hong Kong, contrary to the promises made by China, said Foreign Minister Dominic Raab. It undermines confidence that China will still live up to its commitments as a leading member of the world community. The Prime Minister defended the improvements to the electoral system designed to ensure that Hong Kong was ruled by patriots, as he said. After the decision, the committee for the election of the Hong Kong head of government will be enlarged from 1,200 to 1,500 members. In the selection of members, the already dominant pro-Beijing camp will gain even more influence, while the opposition forces will be pushed back. A newly created so-called review committee will also review the candidates for both the election committee and Hong Kong's parliament in the future. This attitude test is about whether they are also patriotic. Critics see this practically as a veto right when the candidates are listed, because from Beijing's point of view, patriots are only candidates who also follow the line of the Communist Party. It is the second time in 9 months that Beijing has tightened the reins in the face of protests and calls for more democracy in Hong Kong. In July, an equally harshly criticized security law came into force in Hong Kong, which has since been used to take legal action against democracy activists. It is directed against activities that Beijing sees as subversive, separatist, terrorist, or conspiratorial. While the fate of Hong Kong overshadowed the meeting, the not freely elected parliament finally approved the government's economic policy as expected. Prime Minister Li Keqiang expects growth of more than 6% this year, after 2.3% in the previous year. China benefits from the fact that it has largely had the coronavirus under control since the summer. Beijing pursues a zero-COVID strategy. It uses strict measures such as curfews, quarantine, mass test, contact tracing, and extensive entry restrictions. In view of the economic recovery, the Prime Minister did not rule out faster growth either, but warned of turbulence. He said, "We have to avoid wild fluctuations in economic development," to the press after the session ended. "Too fast growth is not sustainable," said the head of government to predictions such as the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, which expects 8.1% in the second largest economy. Boosting domestic demand in China would also create opportunities for foreign companies, said Li Keqiang. He promoted China's new two-cycle strategy. This promotes domestic demand as the internal circulation, while the external cycle with foreign countries should only have a supportive effect. Li Keqiang was clearly keen to reject growing concerns that China is trying to decouple itself in its pursuit of greater independence from abroad. Closing the gate to the world will lead nowhere, the Prime Minister insisted. And we will see how that will continue. And if you want to stay informed, please subscribe to my channel. Auf Wiedersehen.